Hi there, I'm Jackie. Now, I've been collecting sea glass my entire life, and I've been doing art for a very long time. And then when I retired, after many years working as a psychologist, I spent way more time with my sea glass. More time collecting sea glass, doing my art. I wrote a book. I started this YouTube channel. And I started to think, Jackie, do you have an unhealthy obsession with sea glass? So I started to think about it, and I thought, as any good psychologist would do, if you think you've got an obsession, you have to do an assessment. So, try as I might, it may surprise you, I could not find a tool that does an assessment for sea glass obsession. So I wrote one. So grab a pen and a piece of paper. I have a questionnaire for you to help you figure out, do you have an unhealthy obsession with sea glass? This is really straightforward. 12 questions, you answer yes or no, keep track of your yeses, and then at the end, total up how many yeses you have. And then at the end of the video, I'll tell you what does that tell you about the relationship with sea glass in your life. So the first question, do you have at least 10 jars of sea glass? And if one of those jars happens to be a 19-liter empty wine carafe full of sea glass, that counts. You know who you are. Now that's a lot of sea glass. Question number 2, are you physically unable to walk by a piece of sea glass on the beach without stooping to pick it up? Question number 3, do you ever miss family events or social gatherings in order to go to the beach to collect sea glass? Although we must admit that sometimes the beach is more interesting. Question number 4, do you ever play with your sea glass instead of doing other things like we should be doing, like chores or errands? You know, do I sort sea glass or do I sort laundry? So, question 5, do you play with your sea glass to reduce feelings of anxiety? You know, when you're playing with your sea glass and that feeling of peace and calm comes back to you that you always get when you're at the beach? It's just something about the sea glass that has an incredible power. Question 6. Have you ever been vacuuming and all of a sudden you realize you vacuumed up a piece of sea glass and after a moment of panic you go digging through the dirt bag in order to retrieve it? I know. In my defense, it was a piece of sea glass that looked like a yellow gummy bear. Question 7. Do you consistently run late because you've been at the beach or playing with your sea glass? And I've kind of come to the conclusion that there's some sort of space-time continuum where 30 minutes in the presence of sea glass feels like 5 minutes. I'm always late. Question 8. Do you ever dream about sea glass? So that you know those dreams where you're walking on the beach and all of a sudden you find like 3 green pieces of sea glass and you go a bit further and you find a blue and then you're going further and all of a sudden you find a red. It's just the most beautiful dream in the world. As opposed to those dreams where you're walking and walking and walking and there's no sea glass to be found. That is a nightmare. Question number 9. Do you consider sea glass as a recognizable style for your interior design in your house? So here you can see we have a sea glass lamp. So the base of the lamp is filled with really nice pieces of sea glass. We have sea glass colored paint on the wall, sea glass art hanging there. Question 10. Do you take sea glass with you wherever you go? And I have to tell you, jewelry counts. If your answer to this question was no, I have to let you know you're missing out on a really good anxiety reducing technique. Because if you have a piece of sea glass and you rub it, like if you're feeling anxious about anything, just rub it, you feel a little bit better. I call this a grounding technique, and which in other words means it's a way to keep you from losing your mind. Because let's face it, sometimes we feel like we're losing our mind. Question number 11. Can you tell an interesting story behind at least 3 of your favorite pieces of sea glass? So for example, one day I was down here on the beach and I was not in a good state of mind. I was having a bad day. And all of a sudden I found a marble and I was like, oh wow, a sea glass marble. And it really kind of helped even me out and helped me feel better. And then sometimes there's really interesting stories behind where the sea glass might have come from. I had some really big, gray, chunky pieces, and I like to tell the story about how they were from the windshield of an airplane that went down when World War II was ending. Anyway, that may not be true, but it makes for an interesting story anyway. So, last question, number 12. Have you ever found yourself unable to stop talking about sea glass? Like somebody becomes aware that you're kind of into sea glass, so they ask you an innocent question, and before you know it, you're going on and rambling on and totally dominating the conversation, and you see the person's eyes gloss over, and you think they're probably thinking, I wish this person would shut up, but you just can't stop talking because there's so much to say about sea glass, and it's so interesting. Have I mentioned that I've written an entire book about sea glass? So add up how many yeses you had and post them in the comment section down below. It'll be really interesting to see how many people score high on this. Now, let me tell you what it means if your score is within a certain range. So, if you scored between 1 and 3 yeses, chances are you've given up on this video long ago. You've thought that woman is crazy. I don't want to watch any more of this video. I'm just not that into sea glass, which is fine. If you answered yes on 4 to 7 of the questions in the questionnaire, sea glass is most likely a really healthy hobby for you. You get out there, you enjoy sea glass as part of your life, and it's a pretty good thing for you in your life. If you answered yes on 8 to 12 of the questions, we may need to talk. Sea glass may be an obsession for you, and it may be an issue. Now, full disclosure, I scored 12 very easily on this questionnaire. And I think the thing to keep in mind is that when is an obsession a problem? An obsession is a problem if your family is complaining that you're not around for things, you're shirking your duties when it comes to work and play and house and all that stuff. But as long as you're still able to carry on with your life and do okay, it's probably not that bad a thing to be obsessed about. Anyway, I hope you had a lot of fun doing this questionnaire, and I hope it helps you figure out where sea glass is in your life. And I hope you don't give up on sea glass. It is lots of fun. And yes, I do have an obsession with sea glass myself. So until next time, happy sea glass hunting.